All right, welcome back to the channel on this very hot, humid night. Oh man, my hair is all sticky out here, and it's pretty late, huh? It's actually probably around 8, 9 o'clock probably. It's getting late, but still got some light out, and so I'm profit from what I've got, and there you go. Anyway, I'll be right back with you. Again, everybody, welcome back. And before we get started, I appreciate you subscribe to my channel. Give me a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below. Share with your friends, enemies. And this is a pretty good one I want to talk to you about. And this is something that's it's about what's up here and preparing yourself. So I wrote this blog up on my website, helvetiabushcraft.ch. You can read this blog for yourself. You can download, you can copy paste it, whatever you want to do. It's there for you to read and to get a little bit more out of it. And I'll be reading from my notes here because I keep myself in order. So hang in there with me. I appreciate it. And I got some visuals to show you also. So it's before you go, you need to know. That's the name of this. And preparing for the outdoors is basically it. Your number one tool in your survival bag is your mental strength, okay? Often it takes a while to strengthen your mind. It means that you have to not only study and learn, but also prepare yourself for the harshnesses of the outdoors, okay? Basically, getting yourself ready mentally means forging on, getting out there, dealing with the weather. You make a planning for a weekend, okay? Get out there, and no matter what the weather's like, get out there, okay? You may have to adapt your plans, but you know what? If you have the right kind of gear with you and you have the right kind of mentality, you can still get out there and you can do it. I do most of my camping in the wintertime, and we'll talk more about that in a minute, but I don't allow the weather to really interfere with my camping or my outdoor experiences as much as I have to, okay? The only difference if it's dangerous, okay? That's a little bit different, okay? But you need to strengthen your, you need to get your mind in the right place. And that means be ready. That way you'll be much better at reacting to anything that comes along with you, okay? When anything comes at you, okay? I've got a lot of experiences right here. The Army taught me a lot. We're dealing with this right here. Work teaches you a lot. We're doing this right here. I mean, you still go to work, you still deal with whatever the weather throws at you, and hot, cold, wet, dry, whatever it is, okay? But just get your mind around it. Get used to the suck, we called it in the Army, okay? Dealing with the suck, okay? We call it embracing the suck, and you can do this in a lot of different ways, okay? Just learning how to embrace that suck, okay? You gotta get ready for extreme temperatures, okay? This means the reality of dealing with being tired, cold, wet, thirsty, hungry, and even a bit of pain, okay? Depending on what you do, look, you get out there and you hurt yourself or you cut yourself. I mean, if it's not something that's is detrimental, you can move on, you can drive on. You got a first aid kit with you, you bandage yourself up or your partner up, whatever, and you move on, okay? You deal with the cold. Well, how you deal with the cold? Well, you learn how to build a fire. You learn how to build a structure. You learn how you carry the right gear with you that can help you sleep well. They help you stay warm, this kind of stuff, okay? If it's hot, okay, well, seek shade or build shade, okay? Get you some water, okay? If you don't have any, well, we'll talk about that here in a minute also. It's little things, even dealing with the smoke of the fire in your face, you just sort of move around the fire all night. That's what you do. That's what we all do, okay? Dealing with the bugs, dealing with all this kind of stuff, okay? You need to know how to survive. You need to know how to deal with the unexpected. First aid emergencies. Take classes and read books, okay? That's all you gotta do, okay? Get out there and experience. YouTube is one, I wish I had YouTube when I was growing up, man. I tell you, that would have been fantastic. But all we had was the Wild Kingdom on TV and a few other little channels. We didn't have anything that really visually showed us. So we had to go to classes. We had to take classes, first aid classes. When I was a Boy Scout, we get out there and first thing we learned was first aid, okay? Learn it, keep learning it, keep training with it, keep practicing it, because the day you'll need it, you'll need it. That's how it works, okay? And read up books. I have a huge library at home that I use and that I have used. I've read all the books. I have several thousand books at home. It's almost too much, but at the same time, I enjoy knowing that I have this knowledge here, and I present to other people. I let other people use it, okay? And of course, like I said, you have YouTube, you have the internet. There's a lot of things. You can take local first aid classes. You can go to a bushcraft course or a survival course, this kind of stuff. I remember about 18 years ago for my birthday, I got a Ray Mears bushcraft course from my then wife, and I went over to the UK and spent a whole week out there. I enjoyed it. I had such a great time. And did I learn a lot? I learned a lot. Yeah, sure. But what it did primarily for me is it got my brain around things that I already knew and how to organize them a little better. And that's one of the things that I really enjoyed about it. And a company of other people who were out trying to do the same thing. Was I great at it? No. As a matter of fact, I had the hardest time building a fire drill and making a fire. That was the most difficult part for me. The rest was easy peasy. I mean, it was really easy, actually. And I enjoyed it because I'd already had this experience 10 years in the military, living outdoors, living under the stars, living in good weather, bad weather, and just sort of toughening up, thickening up, that kind of stuff, you know. I grew up on a farm. I grew up in nature in Louisiana. And so, you know, when I went into the Army, it was a bit second nature, okay? Get yourself certified in first aid also. I mean, that's a really good thing. A lot of times to get your driver's license, you have to do that nowadays, you know, CPR and this kind of stuff. Even getting out of high school, we had to learn CPR and manage all that stuff. It's what you do, okay? But get that first aid under your belt. You know, find a local scout troop or a local organization, this kind of stuff that teaches first aid, or somebody, you know. When you go outdoors, learn how to choose your campsite, okay? If you can choose it, or how to optimize the site where you're located at. It's very important knowing how to choose your campsite. It can make or break a good weekend or an outing or survival situation, you know. You try to choose the best location you can find, okay? And, you know, it's gonna help you, okay? You gotta be careful of a lot of things. I talk about this in other videos. I talk about this in my outdoor courses I teach. And that's one of the first things we talk about is, besides the equipment you need, but how to choose a campsite, okay? How to set up camp, how to make the use of the land that's around you, okay? It's an art for doing this, okay? It can be a nightmare if you choose wrong. It can really be a nightmare. Form a site located in a bad place that you must use because of rules or weather around you. That's the only reason why. You know, if you have no other choice, you choose the best of what you've been handed, okay? But understand the terrain and the weather. That's important, okay? I can remember when I was in the Army one time, we were in Yakima, Washington, and man, it was cold. It was wintertime. And I remember the sun coming up, and it was just behind the mountain range there on the eastern side of Yakima. I believe the eastern side, and behind that was the famous Washington apple orchards that was there. And when the sun came up, I remember we were chasing the rays, trying to get warm. It was so cold. We were tap dancing all morning, you know, when we got up. Okay, so this is some of those things when it comes to choosing your campsite. You know, you want that sun early, especially if it's cold weather. You want that sun early to sort of help warm you up a bit also. Be physically fit, okay? Get in the gym, practice hiking with weight. Get yourself physically fit. You know, I see a lot of, watched a video a couple of days ago. It was a outdoor survival bushcraft type video on the Corporal's Corner. I think it was the corporal who was doing it. And he was in good shape. And the guy filming was in great shape. Those guys are really, you know, are fit. But, you know, a lot of the participants were not, okay? They were pretty overweight. And they were not very fit, and you could see it, okay? And yeah, sure, okay, you can do a long weekend like that, but you know, what if you gotta be out there even longer, okay? So be physically fit and know your limits, know what you can and can't do. You know, I have bad hips, I got bad ankles, I got a bad back, so I'm not gonna carry an 80 pound rucksack. I'm just not gonna do it. I'm gonna carry as light as I can. I'm gonna choose my equipment smartly, and learn how to work with what I got, okay? Understand and know your body, okay? I understand how my body's gonna react to heat and cold and to wet, and I know that some things I like, some things I'm not gonna like, okay? I work a lot. I work outdoors actually, and I remember I got wet and cold this past winter. It's snowing and raining. I was completely cold, and I could not stop shivering, okay? And this was on a work site, so I had to get in the vehicle. The vehicle heater didn't work, so I shivered for an hour until I got back out and just got physically moving again to finish up the job. It was just a day like that. Okay, so that's why you got to prepare yourself both mentally and physically for cold nights, for hot periods. And what you wear can help you. So choose wisely what you wear, okay? Learn how the layering system works, learn what materials work the best and what materials don't work at all, okay? We used to have expression cotton kills. And this is a cotton t-shirt I'm wearing right now. Man, it is wet. It's wet from the humidity that's around me, okay? I've turned my clothing and gear down to being as efficient as possible for cold weather, okay? I use a layering system. I carry the minimum, but also I carry the right kind of gear with me. If my bag's a little bit, I have a really good sleep system that I use. I use the ECWC system from the U.S. Army. That 3-layer system. I don't use the Gore-Tex bag. I use just the 2 bags. But what I will do is I will put a pair of booties on, insulated booties, put my feet in that way. I make sure my feet stay warm at night. And I will actually sleep in a jacket, actually, or a wool shirt or something like that. Okay. And when it comes to hot weather, well, how to stay cool. Okay. You got to hydrate. You got to do all these kind of things. So these things are very important to know and understand, and make sure you have the best time you can. But see, you're not going to always have the greatest of times, okay? We can easily nowadays just pack up, throw our stuff in the car and go back home. We can easily do that. But imagine if you go out there and you're hunting or you're roughing it for a week or 2, or you're in a situation where you are out there even by accident, okay? How are you going to deal with all that? So I too usually, like I said, I tend to camp more in the wintertime because less people in the woods, less people in nature. They tend to avoid it. Quite often they're going to go skiing in the mountains, but in the forest, they're going to avoid them. They might go to a little bit of hiking, this kind of stuff, but I'm not going to see very many people, especially at night. And I got the right kind of gear for it, you know, and there's no bugs. There's no critters out messing with me. So it's really nice, actually. I enjoy the cold weather camping, actually. It's my favorite time, okay? Test your gear. Before you go outdoors, test your gear and try to ensure that it works for you and the environment. Often we carry too much or not enough gear, okay? I've gone out in the summer months in the mountains, found out that my simple summer sleeping bag system just wasn't enough. Or that your fire kit doesn't make fire because you only carried one source of fire lighting and everything is damp around you. So that goes into, you know, choosing the right kind of gear, testing it yourself, and seeing what works. And what I do is every time I get back home from a camp out, I go through my gear. Number one, to sort it out, make sure I got it all back, clean what I need to clean, and see what worked and what didn't work, what I need to change, what's broken, this kind of stuff, okay? My pages are a little bit confusing here, okay? All right. I always carry the 10 essentials in my pack, okay? You see my pack right there? It's got the 10 essentials in it, and I've added a few extra things, okay? The extra things I've added is sleeping gear, okay? More food, more water, okay? But the 10 essentials I do not take away from, ever. It's always there, okay? And I'll leave a link or a list. I've got a video about the 10 essentials. I suggest you look at it. You can look online, you can find it. The Boy Scouts of America even talk about it. Just that simple, okay? How to stay warm in the winter and cold in the summer, hot to dry when wet. Staying warm means fire, the right clothing, and a great sleep system and shelter. There you go. I prefer to use wool socks, undergarments, and a jacket shirt around camp. My sleep system is insulated and off the ground using a foam mattress with an air mattress on top of that. That gives me a big gap. You got to get off the ground. The ground is damp, and even in summertime, I don't sleep directly on the ground, okay? I often use a tarp, sometimes a tent. It depends. If I'm going to a public camping spot, I'll use a tent. But and I do that when I do road trips. But if I'm doing a wild camp, I use a tarp. And sometimes if I don't expect any rain, I'll just sleep under a tree, okay? I change out of my wet clothing. And if you don't necessarily, I mean, it's good to change out of your wet clothing and get inside your bag. You can put your stuff in your bag with you. Put your boots in your bivy bag or put it inside the foot of your sleeping bag with you. Help it dry out. Your body's going to dry out a lot of the clothes that you're wearing, okay? So just be aware of that. As long as it's not cotton. If it's something like wool or this kind of stuff, synthetics that will dry out very quickly, that's ideal, okay? And have and know your priorities. Ensure your partner or your group also understand the priorities, okay? What you do when you get to camp, everybody sort of has a chore, has something to do. That way it gets things going much quicker, okay? And remember the rule of threes. 3 weeks no food, 3 days no water, 3 minutes no air, and there's a fourth one, and that's 3 seconds no bullshit. Okay, so that's something you got to really work out. The right clothing for the right jobs. Clothing is your first level of your shelter. Okay, so if you were suddenly away from everything else, you lost your gear. Okay, you're in an accident or a situation. I'm gonna tell you 2 little quick stories. When I was in the Army, we were doing a E&E exercise, and we were crossing a river. We had our rucksacks and our gear inside of our ponchos. We had put 1 poncho with 2 rucksacks in it. Me and my partner, we were going across the river, and this was in the wintertime, by the way. So we were down to just essential clothing. We kept our boots on because it was so wet. But we got across the river, but we got into a bad current. We got into some because the river had risen, and we got into some limbs. It sort of threw us off balance in the current. It was very, very quick on that side of the river. We're going from the bend to the outer part, and I lost him. He just disappeared. I didn't find him anymore. We found him later. Of course, he was alive, but he had to go to the hospital for hypothermia. And I lost all the gear. And I got out of there. And I just had my weapon attached to me. That's all I had. And I got captured a little bit later inside of a barn. The Germans, of course, they're all cops. Even the grandmas, the omas. And they called the police on me. They picked me up, and I was brought in to this. This is part of the exercise. I was interrogated, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so be ready to work with what you got if you lose everything. When I teach a fire lighting course, I separate everybody from their gear, and I have them come over, spread out, draw a circle on the ground, say, okay, within that circle, now build a fire with what you got. And I've not had anyone who can actually make fire like that yet. So it's a way of teaching and getting in your brain, okay? Rain gear. Okay, I always carry a breathable rain jacket. I always at least have gaiters or outdoor, because I don't like waterproof pants, so I'll put some gaiters on. If you have a long enough rain jacket, like a smog or something like that, it will definitely protect you enough. Okay, good rain gear will shelter you from the rain and the elements, like snow and wind, so carry it with you. Not only in a place you can get to it quickly, carry my rain gear on the outside of my rucksack in a pocket. This is, for example, my rain jacket right here. And I carry a poncho or a tarp or something like that. A poncho is really good, okay, because you can use that as rain gear or shelter, okay. Also have a good insulated packable jacket with me, when I'm in the wintertime. Then in the summertime, I actually carry an insulated vest I've had from Patagonia for 30 years. I've had this thing, more than 30 years, and I love it. And I've always used it, and it's in that bag right there behind you, with my sleeping bag in the same waterproof compartment, okay? So carry something with you that's gonna, I'll start off with insulated clothing. I'll have something with me, but I have enough with me right there for an overnight, and I can get dressed up and get inside under my poncho, okay? My poncho liner. Again, test your gear and test yourself. Make sure it's all used. Take advice from other people that are given to you. But only trust in what you've tested and what you can verify. So test and verify everything, okay? I mean, look, I'm in this video, I'm giving you some advice here, okay? You do with it what you want to, okay? But don't just take my advice. Test it yourself, try it out, make sure it works. Because if it doesn't for you, it's not going to. Especially if you're just trying it out of the house and you got in the woods, it's not going to work either, okay? I carry a possibles pouch with me everywhere I go, okay? It's got emergency gear in it, and I train using it. I also keep your gear up to date and train using it. If it doesn't work, find what will work, okay? Let's talk about the possibles pouch here, okay? Now, possible pouch could be anything. It can be a U.S. Army issued pouch like you have here, okay? All right, this is a waist pouch. I have my binoculars on here also because I'm getting ready for this next week. I'll be using all this right here with this right here while I've been on the Swiss best sniper course. I'm an instructor. I'm not an instructor, but I'm a grader on the course. But inside that I can get a lot of stuff. Okay, what do I carry in my Possibles bag? Fire. Carry at least 3 forms of fire making and some tinder. Okay, some dry stuff. All right. Water. A canteen with either a mini filter or water purification tablets. But you can boil water over a fire if you have a metal cup or a container to put it in. Signal gear, day and night, air and ground. Flashlight with extra battery, signal flare, chem lights, signal panel, high vis balloon, a piece of inner tube that you burn black. That'll mark a location you're at. This kind of stuff. Medical gear, carry the right medical items that will do the most for you in an emergency, and also add any medications that you might need. Little pain meds, this kinds like that, ibuprofen, this kinds like that, or whatever. This all goes in there. Suntan lotion, not tan lotion, but sun cream to protect you from the sun is also part of that first aid kit. Okay, a repair kit, sewing kit, along with 100-mile-an-hour tape and a large gauge needles for larger repairs. Okay, inside the 100-mile-an-hour, inside of the paracord, you also have little small strands. You can use that with a big needle to. And if you have a Swiss Army knife, you have an auger on it with a needle, and you can punch through and you can sew stuff with that also to repair. Shelter, or how to make a shelter. And acquire food and some small items that has high calories. You can throw them in there. Some bars, even some chocolate, just kind of like that. You can throw that. Only thing with chocolate, if it melts, it's hot, it melts, it's a mess. But it's something you can add to it. And always bring a wool hat, gloves. I always bring that with me. I have my gloves with me right here. I have some gloves with me and a little wool cap I throw in there. So I always have that. Okay. So, and you can carry it in different ways. You can carry it, you can carry these items in one single pouch, spread it out through your clothing. Like if you have a smock or something like that, or in your side pockets, you can spread all this gear out amongst that. But putting it in a single pouch is a good idea, but putting it in a jacket, all the pockets, is also a great idea because you have it all with you. You're going to have that jacket on you at all times, but depends on how you want to carry it. Okay, if it weighs a lot, just remember that if all this gear weighs a whole lot, you'll be less likely to want to carry it around with you. If you're going to go out away from your campsite, you leave your main ruck with all your gear there, carry that stuff with you because you never know, something could happen, you can't get back. You never know the situation. So. Again, test your kit, and by doing so, you can get your kit to where you need it. Okay, that's the only way that you're going to be able to accomplish this. Okay, so you choose your gear, you learn how to use it, you use it, and you got to keep using it. You got to keep testing it. You got to keep going through batteries for your flashlights. You got to keep working through your fire kit, making sure you're really there. Okay, you got to keep replacing your batteries in your stuff also. You don't just leave it in there. Don't leave your batteries inside your flashlight. Okay, that's just a little small thing. This is all my advice to you. You have to decide for yourself what you want to do and how you want to do it, and make the best of it. So that's it. Okay, hope I covered everything. And just be smart. Be smart what you do and how you do it, okay? And, get your family out there. I'm going to tell you a real quick last story. Right before with the bushcraft course, my brain was so scattered, I guess. Me and the wife and the kids, we went out one day up in the mountains, and we went by the store, grabbed a bunch of sausages, kind of stuff. Said, listen, we'll go up and make a fire. And I got up there, and guess what? I had nothing to make fire with. So we brought that stuff home, and then we ended up eating it home. It was a bit of a mess, It wasn't a complete ruined day, but it was a bit of a ruined situation. It could have been a whole lot better, but it is what it was. What it was. Okay, it is what it is. And so from then on out, my car was I always had everything with me inside my car. And I met a nice gentleman last weekend. He's the father of a friend of mine whom I work with, and this guy's a Dutch guy, and he's very much into bushcraft and outdoor stuff, and his car had everything in it, even all of his camera equipment, because he does that. It's always with him in his car. It's always ready to go. I mean, he could not carry more than one other person with him in the car because his car is completely packed. And I find that my truck is the same way. I have a lot of gear in there that I carry with me for the vehicle, plus if I was to need some stuff. So there you go. Hope you all have a pleasant one and enjoyed this video. I'm sure it's a lot of blah, blah, blah. But look, it's a lot of information to think about, and I hope you do think about it, and I hope that I've helped you in some way. If you have any questions, please send me a message, leave a message down below. I'll answer any other questions you have. And I'm losing light here, so it's the end of the day, and I hope you all have a pleasant weekend, and I'll talk to you very soon in the next video. Take care of yourselves. Goodbye.